She thought she had everything figured out. Baxter had told her everything she needed to know. Or did he? Was he telling the truth? She remembered the last words she heard. Obviously, she hadn't yet completed the task Maud had set out for her, and there was more that needed to be uncovered. All of a sudden, her body felt weightless, and her vision blurred before turning to complete darkness. Her eyes were open, but she saw nothing, like an empty void. Was this what Maud's last 200 years had been? An empty space, alone and afraid.
A front row seat view of a manifesting soul, my child. That's what you've gotten yourself into.
A voice roared from the pitch-black emptiness. It was a deep and haunting voice. Cassandra knew instantly that this was one of the greater entities Maud was so afraid of disobeying. The ones who could easily wipe her out from existence with the mere flick of a wrist. She couldn't see anything as she continued drifting through the abyss, feeling like leaves being blown by a gentle breeze. A thread-like beam of light suddenly appeared in the distance. She saw movement as the glow shifted, making its way towards her, almost as if it was travelling down a flowing stream.
Look at what her willingness to escape has done to you. That's just the beginning. A soul stuck here for too long will manifest into a greater power. An entity bound to remain here for eternity.
The entity paused as if he was waiting for her to respond, but she couldn't. The emptiness was daunting, and as much as she tried to speak, the fear was far too great this time. A clawed hand reached out from the shadows, grabbing Cassandra's face gently in its grasp, as grey and empty eyes peered at her from the very little light there was.
Her soul was already broken long before she came to this realm. She's a lost cause. Only darkness triumphs within her now.
She shook her head to release herself from the grasp of the hand. "You're wrong," she said suddenly. "I've seen the good in her." Sharp teeth joined the light shared by the lifeless eyes as a grin stretched over the face of the entity.
For your sake, my child, I hope you're right. The dead are not something to toy with. They no longer have the need to see right from wrong. This will end with deadly results.
The light flickered as more hands fixed themselves to Cassandra's body, as if they were trying to rip her apart. A dizzy feeling overwhelmed her at that moment. It felt as if a heavy weight had been forced into the pit of her stomach. She closed her eyes as flashes of pain shot through her. Peering down through her intensely blurred vision, she looked at her hand in the clutches of another. As she tried to pull it away, she soon realized it was impossible to move. She looked up, locking eyes with the being she had become attached to. Her touch felt so familiar, but this was not the same woman she had met. The being standing before her was beginning to look less and less human. The extra appendages which once decorated her skull like a headpiece were discarded, leaving thick bloody trails down her face which pooled onto the ground beneath them. Her face was distorted for a second, which made Cassandra blink continuously in disbelief, hoping it would return to normal. What she was looking at right now wasn't a human, not a distant relative. It was a monster. After what felt like an eternity, the ground beneath her stilled. Her legs shook uncontrollably as she lost her balance, falling into the open arms of Maud, bringing them both to the floor. Cassandra felt fingertips slowly running through her hair, followed by gentle drops of moisture. She lifted her head once she managed to summon the strength. Maud was back to normal, crying, but normal. "Are you okay?" she asked. Cassandra didn't reply, but nodded in response. "I am so sorry," Maud continued. She pulled Cassandra tighter into her grasp. This was a feeling of need. Maud needed to feel comfort, as did Cassandra. Your mother was so lucky to have you, she said, nuzzling her face into Cassandra's mess of blonde locks. It was my brother who used to sing that song to me, just before my father sent him away. He would sing me to sleep every night. I begged him not to go, but my father insisted his life would be so much better in America. I guess he was right. If he stayed here, he would have died along with the rest of us. Then you wouldn't be here. Cassandra reached up to wipe the tears from Maud's face. You just told me about your past. Maud smiled as she shook her head. The agreement was broken when you told me you understood my story. We're free from the watchful eyes. For now. But I've just met one, Cassandra said. Yes, the spirit of chaos. I pulled you back from his grasp, Maud replied. He manipulates reality, makes you think differently, see the bad in everything, as is his way of judgment. He told me if you're here for too long, you'll manifest. What did he mean? Cassandra asked. Maud exhaled slowly as she ran her outstretched fingers through Cassandra's hair. They're where they are because they were consumed by their ambitions, she explained. They asked too much of those they sought out to help them. They're stuck in the veil, as the eyes of judgment, forever. I thought Baxter had told me everything I needed to know, to free you. I must be missing something. What if you become one of those entities, because of me? Cassandra replied. That won't happen. Now I can assist you, help you to understand. But there's something you need to know, Maud said, as she pulled herself away from Cassandra and got to her feet. Another reason I'm still here is because I started something before I died. Something I couldn't finish. Tell me what it was, and I'll help you, Cassandra said. Maud lost her focus as she looked down at Cassandra's hand. She was still holding the letter. What is that? She asked. Cassandra turned to view her surroundings. She soon realised they were back in the farmhouse in the present day, meaning she could read the letter going by Baxter's terms. She unfolded it slowly. This time she was pleased to see that the numbers were replaced with words. She quickly looked over it before she began to read. Having already met him, and knowing the risks he was willing to take to keep her by his side, the confessions on the paper brought Cassandra to tears as she revealed them to Maud. My darling Maud, I was told writing about my feelings is a good way to express grief, to deal with the unfortunate loss of loved ones. I feel you were more than that. You were my everything. I feel like I failed you that day. I should have known your intentions. I just wish you would have shared them with me. I tried so hard to protect you from those people, but there was only so much I could do. You were determined, independent, strong, beautiful. There isn't enough words in this world to describe you. I feel as if the light in my life has gone out. You were my reason for living. There's nothing left for me now. The last of my work I dedicate to you, my darling. I will do my best to keep families together for as long as I can. I'll give them the time you should have had. Maud's back was turned. but her whole body shook with uncontrollable despair as tears fell to the wooden planks below.